Welcome back. With us right now from United is Gary Morrison. Good to have you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
First time you've been on, which is I thought was kind of surprising because you've been on the board since December.
I just retired this month, so that's
Oh,
one reason
I
haven't really had the time because I've been in a lot of committee meetings working.
Well, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you.
Very nice. Now, what you're going to be talking about is you're on the budget committee, so you've got some budget things you want to talk about, including the revenues and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And good to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give a quick synopsis of our income statement and balance sheet. And we look pretty good. Our revenues are at 13 million.
Mm-hmm.
And they were budgeted at that amount, so we're right on target. Our expenses were 11 million. This are up through April, and we were budgeted for 13 million. So we had 2 million less expenses than what we thought we would have. Therefore, our balance sheet increased $2 million from a year ago, or from December. So we're looking pretty good with our financials.
Now, what I want to stress here is that whenever you give these financials at the meeting,
yes,
it's always like to the month before, because by the time you get them.
That's correct.
That is, yeah, okay. And then, we give these at the meeting, you see the reports, and we like to stress that because you guys do that at the meeting. Of course, usually it's Pat English that does this.
Pat English usually, yeah.
Because obviously you don't know what that month is going to be.
Exactly.
But that's why the year to date is that. So
right.
Very good. Go ahead and continue. I'm sorry to interrupt,
All
but
right.
I'd like to tell people that because they're going,
absolutely.
Well, this is to this date, but we're in June already. But yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Our resales have gone up 13.1%. This year as compared to the previous year. So the average resale was 219,000 a year ago and is now 246,000, which is very good. Very good for all of the homeowners.
Yeah.
Our delinquencies, 98,000, and they went down a little bit from our previous month. And for a size of village that we are,
right,
98,000 is very reasonable.
Yeah.
So I have no concerns about that. We've started cable television deactivation if they go delinquent, and that's kind of a stimulation to try to make your monthly payments. And we're also, of course, filing liens, and we're setting up payment plans as needed. So we're working to preserve the values in Laguna Woods Village.
Right, exactly. Very good. And here's one of the things that has always been ongoing in the village is the parking problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and I know you've said you've lived here a couple years, but you've probably noticed it, right?
Well, we started a parking committee this last month because we've had some complaints of parking in the cul-de-sacs.
Right.
So rather than to just start clamping down or making rules and regulations that maybe don't affect certain cul-de-sacs, we wanted to find out if it was a problem throughout the village or if it was a problem with certain cul-de-sacs.
Yeah.
So what we did, there were 3 of us that went out, and we started at 4:30 in the morning, because we wanted to find what spaces were there and open before people left for work. And we also did it in the afternoon so that we had a double check. We looked at curb spaces or asphalt spaces along the sidewalks to count how many cars could park along there and if they were empty. We also looked at carports, found out how many cars or golf carts or whatever vehicle might be in those garages, and counted every space and tried to find out then what the percentage was, or if there was a problem with the parking in these areas. So we've covered almost all of United.
Okay.
And so we're putting together that report, and we'll have, I would say in the next month, we'll have some definitive answers.
And that's a good point that you make. As I recall at the last United meeting, there were people saying, you know, in my cul-de-sac, there's not a problem, and other people getting up saying, well, in ours there is. So
Correct.
It really depends on the location more than anything. So to have just one blanket rule, as you said, it's something that's really got to be looked at.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, very good. But as we know, parking in the village has always been an issue.
Well, and I think as people move in and they have more cars and they want golf carts, and it could become more and more a problem.
Yeah, and that was another point that was brought up at the meeting, how people moving here who may have that, two people are still working, or even if they're not working, they often have different things they like to do during the day. And would that be a disincentive if they look at the realtor says, well, you know what, you got to get rid of one of your cars?
Well, and we want to be fair.
Exactly.
And at first we thought, well, if it was a one bedroom, I had one car. Then I had a couple contact me and say, well, we're 55, we're still both working, and so we need two cars. And I thought, well, that's reasonable too. Yeah. So I think we have to really step back and take into account everybody's situation.
So let's talk about the Good Neighbor Captains, and all the mutuals and GRF and all are working towards this. There have been some meetings about it. Yes. And it can be a really effective tool when there could be a major emergency, right?
Exactly. Chief Moy has done a very good job and has started at the top and has put together a very intensive evacuation scheme. They have set up temporary hospitals in our clubhouses, have security that is going to be taking over, and if, for example, if we had something terrible happen, we may not have internet, so we have to have some alternate ways of communication, which they have that set up. What we don't have set up is from the bottom up, which are the good neighbor, what we call the Good Neighbor Captains. And those are the people that we need to go around and assess any damages that may occur. And in order to do that, we need to have a captain that goes around and assembles all of the information that we need. And we do that, and I know, you know, I've talked to some people, and at first they think that it's kind of an invasion of privacy. But I explained to them that, you know, we're asking for their doctors for any illnesses they have, pharmaceuticals, because if someone is knocked unconscious, we need to pin something to them when they go to emergency so that they don't give them something that is going to exacerbate the problem. Right. So, you know, we're doing all of this for a reason, and we're not putting that information out there. It's very confidential, but we're going to use it only in the case of an emergency so that we can effectively work together. In order to do all this, we need to recruit captains. Yes, exactly. And we need a lot of them. Yes, because we don't have very many at this point in United. So we're going to be going around and trying to recruit. And I would also I would like to say that if anyone is a retired physician, dentist, nurse, anyone in the medical field, we would love to know that, so that if there's something happened, they can be pulled into our temporary hospital situation as a triage before we send people to emergency, because if there's a big problem, emergency is going to be overtaken at the hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
So we would like to know anyone that's interested in helping us in that situation. And anyone interested in becoming a captain, please contact the Disaster Preparedness Task Force in the community center or phone them at 949-416-6905.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very good point you're making. And I know that there has been, like I said, there's been some meetings about it. There's going to be more meetings about it. And also, I think last week we had someone on, actually just yesterday, I think, from GRF, we had Judith on. And she talked about there might be some kind of incentives, some luncheons or whatever it might be. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to start working that also. So we're really trying to encourage this because we think it's very important. And I think one other point are a couple things I want people to know is that we're going to be starting our mold and dry rot remediation.
Okay.
And also we're starting our sewer replacements. And as you know, the village is getting older and we're starting to have more problems.
Right.
We're budgeted for these things, so this year we're getting a start on it, and it's going to be going forward for years till we get it replaced.
Yeah, and that's going to be, I know with some of the sewers, the lining that's going in
exactly.
So,
exactly.
But even though that is a less evasive way to do that, and it works really great,
yes.
As you just said, there are a lot of them.
Yeah.
So it's going to take some time.
It is going to take time, and it's very expensive.
Right, and so people will be noticed when that happens, because their system might be shut down for a day or something like
that. And I also want to say that the new boardroom is open, and we're going to be having our meetings starting next week in there, and it's beautiful. I think I encourage everyone to go out and look at it and go to the meetings and become a part of the meetings.
And I mentioned earlier that some of the meetings that you folks will be going on, as will all the board members, and they are listed as open meetings, are the Granicus meetings, where you'll learn how the streaming works. And,
exactly.
And I think yours is Monday, as far as what I have. Am I right?
I'm also going to go today.
Yes,
because I'm a slow learner.
Yeah, well, we kind of figured that not that you're a slow learner, that you're going to have other.
It's going to take time.
The GRF one is today, but everyone can go to it.
Correct.
Yeah, so it'll take a little time, but in the long run, it'll be great.
Yes.
So
I think so too.
Well, thank you. You've been on the board now for about 7 months. So are you enjoying it?
It's a lot of work, but I do enjoy it.
Great.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure we'll see you back here
a
lot more often.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on, giving us the report. And again, could you give that number once again if you want to be a captain? I have it down here, but I'll let you go ahead and get it.
It's 949 416 6905.
Okay. And if they forget that, the Disaster Preparedness Task Force is downstairs.
Yes.
So
on first floor.
Yeah. So you can go there and get the information from there as well, which is a great way to do it. You can also pick up one of those go bags.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Nice to meet you, sir. Take care. We'll be back in just a moment. We'll get you unhooked.